What up, players? What up, players? It's Warboss TheObvidousMud. I'm chilling here with Bobo, painting up this Blood Angel Space Marine. I decided not to make him an apothecary after all. Decided to make him just a regular sergeant, and since he doesn't have the Narthissicium. So the colors you're going to need are Khorne Red, Mephiston Red, Carroburg Crimson, that's all the washes for the armor, Chaos Black for all the black areas. For the silver, you're going to need Bolt Gun, or not Bolt Gun Metal, Lead Belcher, which is the new Bolt Gun Metal. You're going to need if you're painting hair and skin for an unhelmeted Marine, then you're going to need Calthin Brown and some kind of flesh color, so either Bugman's Glow and Cadian Flesh Tone, or I'm using the new P3, or it's not new, but for me it's new, P3 Midland Flesh, or you could use the old Talon Flesh, which I think is the best. For the gold of the Power Axe, I use Balthazar Gold, and I use Sotek Green, I believe, for the blue of the Power Axe. If your guy has Purity Seals, you're going to need Naggaroth Knight for the purple wax, and the Rakarth Flesh for the seals itself. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you in the next one. Latest, players! Hey everybody, welcome to the How to Paint the 9th Legion of Space Marines in the original First Founding Legion, and this is actually the Blood Angels. Now, I started filming this last night, but I warped. Something happened when my memory card was trying to copy the video again, so I only did 3 colors after priming my model here black. That was Khorne Red, which you can do on your own, and then where is it? Where's my Khorne Red? Khorne Red. And then for the blade of his Power Axe, I used, I believe, Sotek Green. And then for the haft of it, I used Screamer Pink. There. So we're just going to continue where I left off. You just take a nice big brush and just paint everything in Khorne Red. Even things that are going to turn up to be metal or like bare silver. The only thing, obviously, you're not going to paint red is if you have a helmet or an unhelmeted head. You're not going to paint the face in red, but everything else it's okay if you paint red for now. So I built this guy up to be a Sanguinary Guard. I'll talk while you guys are doing that. I built this guy up to be a Sanguinary Guard, but he doesn't have the little apothecary gauntlet thing, the Narthissicium. So I decided instead to just make him a regular sergeant with a power axe, and to build up another Sanguinary Priest in another video. So he's just going to be the sergeant of a assault squad. Okay, so we're going to continue on, and if you want to pause to continue painting in the Khorne Red, you can do that, but I'm just going to continue on. And I'm going to take some Chaos Black, although you can use Abaddon Black if you want. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to paint the little areas of the body glove, or the joints between the armor, rather. If you have Abaddon Black, that's the current, I guess, way to do black. Oh, look how watery this is. You can also use this opportunity, take the black and go back over anything that got red on it accidentally, like the hair, the skin. And if you're doing a helmet, then you can just follow this tutorial anyway, even if you are not using an unhelmeted head, and still use most of the techniques that I'm going over. So I've been doing a lot of research on the Blood Angels in order to get a good feel for their, how I want to paint this guy, and their character, their history, their organization as a legion, and then as a chapter, researching their, about a lot of their famous battles. I remember even reading, I don't know how many of you have read out there, but there's a Blood Angels omnibus and it tells the story of a particular blood angel that is rumored to be the reincarnation of Sanguinius, and how his blood brother from back before they were turned into Space Marines, they both were accepted to be Space Marines together, and how his blood brother is trying to uncover the truth about that. It takes place in the present, so it's not a Horus Heresy novel, but it has a lot of fun to read, and it was a good story. It was a good novel. It had some I don't remember who their opponent was in that. I think it was the Word Bearers. Okay, so that's that. I am now going to take. I'm gonna paint in a skin next, so I've got some. You can use either Talaran Flesh, which is the old skin or skin color, or use the new Bugman's Glow. But I want to try something different for the skin, and I've got this Formula P3 Midland Flesh, and I want to kind of see how it works out. But if you have either of the other two, in fact, I did make a very comparable Talaran Flesh color using Bugman's Glow, which I always thought was too red, and Cadian Flesh Tone, which is the color of the old Talaran Flesh, but it's just too thin to be used as a base color, unfortunately. So we're gonna see if this Midland Flesh from P3 Paints is any better. I might wait a while actually, because of, you can see that the black is still drying, but let's just see how it sticks. My experience with P3 Paints is that it's pretty good. Like compared to Games Workshop paints, they're not any worse or any better. There was nothing about it that made me think like, oh, this paint is terrible, or oh, this paint is so much better. So I'm just gonna let this first coat kind of dry on it, because the black is obviously still drying, and you don't want to put too much paint on it, or else what's gonna happen is that it's gonna clog up the detail, and then you won't be able to paint the eyeballs. So I'm just gonna take my paintbrush and try to scoop out as much paint in the eye section as possible, and we'll come back to that. Yeah, I know, Bobo. So in the meantime, we're gonna take Calathon Brown, or if you have the new Mournfang Brown, you can use the same thing. I don't have a lot of my new colors here, so I brought a lot of my old colors, and that's kind of what I'm gonna be using. If you want to do blonde hair, which is what I'm gonna be doing, then you can either follow this tutorial, or I'll see if I can, if I remember to attach the link to the tutorial I made a long time ago on painting blonde hair using a bunch of browns. Cheep cheep. Okay, so what can we do next? We're gonna take Leadbelcher, and we are going to paint up the straps for the jump pack. This is also going to be, if you're not using an Assault Marine figure, you can also use this time to paint the inner part of the bolt pistol, or the bolter, or whatever, whatever weapon your Space Marine is using, your Blood Angel. If you're interested in seeing more of my Blood Angel stuff, then you can check out the Blood Angel Fiesta 3000 that I did a couple years ago. It was just a little side project where I took a battle force and built them up as Blood Angels from, I think it was the third company, which is Captain Tycho's company before he died, and it kind of was inherited by his successor. And so I took a captain figure and modeled up a captain to take his place, and he's got like a big thunder hammer. Right, now I'm gonna also take the opportunity to paint the inner workings here of the jump pack. As well as the pipes on the back. So an even faster way to paint the red of a Blood Angels Space Marine is to use a primer from Army Painter called Dragon Red. It's what I use for my Blood Angels Fiesta 3000. It is fantastic. You just spray that primer on, paint everything that's not supposed to be red, and you're ready for washing. I mean, it would be like if you paint Ultramarines, which are the predominantly blue army, and you prime them all in blue. It's like, 60% of your work is done for you right there. So again, that's Army Painter, and there are some other reds paints out there, but Army Painter I found is the brightest and the best, and it's the closest to the what I feel like are the Blood Angels colors. So just painted a little grill in there. Anytime you make a mistake and you want to go back over, you just take your corn red. Or like if you miss a spot, just go back over with your corn red and paint right back over any area that you missed. Alright, now we're going to take Mephiston Red, which is the next color up in the palette, and we are going to do some highlight work. My favorite type of like brush stroke that I use the most, I think, is the top to bottom, the vertical. I feel like that's the easiest to achieve rather than left to right like this. I like to go from top to bottom like this. And only if there's something like, say, this leg armor where I have to turn the model and angle it, then I'll go sideways. But overall, generally, if I've got the room to maneuver, I prefer to do vertical brush strokes like this. I feel it pulls the colors together better for me on bigger surface areas, like the sails for the game Dreadfleet, when you have large surface areas, like the legs of these Space Marine models, where you've got large surface areas. Going from top to bottom creates a better, if you have too much paint or whatever and you have to see the brush strokes, it's better for me to look at them going from top to bottom, vertical rather than horizontal. And it's such a small thing that like some people don't even care, but if you pick up a model and look at it up close and you have to see a bunch of brush strokes on it, then I guess aesthetically it's a little bit more pleasing. Alright, we're also going to do this Sanguinary Guard shoulder piece. There we go. Now if you're using a helmet, if depending on what the unit is that your guy is in, the Blood Angels would color their helmets in different colors. For example, blue for a Devastator squad, or yellow for an Assault squad. So if this guy was wearing a helmet, then the helmet would be yellow because he's a Jump Pack Space Marine. So it would designate him as the Assault squad. And this is something I didn't learn until I was painting for a while. Space Marines, actually, when somebody at my club was like, "Your helmets are all the incorrect color, sir," and I had to go back and do a little bit more research. But it's interesting, if you've got a, like I said, if you've got a Devastator squad, the helmet should be blue. If you are doing an Assault squad like this guy, the helmet should be yellow. A normal regular tactical Marine would be red, just like the rest of their armor. And if you have a unit of veterans, then you would use gold, like shiny gold, rather than just a yellowish color. And helmets will help them to indicate status. Like Sanguinary Priests, their helmet would be white, because they are like the medics, the apothecaries. Make sure you get into the armor here as well. Oh my goodness. It's vanishing off screen. What am I doing? Igor, keep the camera steady. Yes, master. Alright. Alright, we're going to do a little bit more with our Blood Angel before we take a break for now. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take Leadbelcher and we're going to paint all the metal areas, or the silver metal areas. So I'm going to start with the end of his power axe back here. And this part up here. Yeah, I know, Bobo. All the way up to the top. I've got Bobo perched on my shoulder right now. Yeah. He gets all restless if you leave him on his little perch. So, when I paint now, I like to pop him up on my shoulder. He's so cute. Okay. Hi, everybody. Bobo, Bobo, look in the camera. Hi. Ah, Godzilla Bobo. Alright. Here, go up on your perch. Yeah, so what makes the Blood Angels so interesting is that they, in the earliest works of Games Workshop, let's do some Balthazar Gold next. In the earliest works of Games Workshop, they were the ones that kind of defended the Imperial Palace, and it's kind of come into the lore of the Heresy and the Fluff that they were there with the Imperial Fists, and, was it the White Scars too? I don't remember, but there were only a few of the legions, and not many new players of Warhammer 40k know this, but all of the loyalist, like the good guy legions, were not there to defend the Emperor. At the very end of the Heresy, they were all embroiled in their own wars. They were off doing their own things until the very the very end, and even the iconic Ultramarines, which are the blue guys, they were not there at the palace to defend the Emperor when Horus invaded the palace. So that's quite interesting. The Blood Angels were, though, and when Horus let down his personal force field to let the Emperor onto his flagship, it was like the one chance at ending the war, and the Emperor took it along with two of his Primarch sons, the loyalist ones, Sanguinius and Rogol Dorn of the Imperial Fists. Okay, so I just checked out the resources that I'm using for painting this guy. Let's get his skin a wash now because it's starting to look a little creepy to me. Flesh wash. Igor, yes, master. You be a dear and fetch me some Ogren flesh wash, please. Here you are, master. Thank you very much. I'm just gonna take this and paint it over the skin of the face. One of the things that separate the Blood Angels from the other chapters, or legions at the time, were that they were known as being the most handsome, attractive, they're good-looking guys. And that's because they were very angelic, I guess you could say. Red Belcher. For the bolt pistol. And I think the only legion that came close to, appreciating visual aesthetics were the Emperor's Children. Because they're all about perfection and being the best and the most perfect in every regard. So their uniforms, their aesthetics, they were very, very much about the way they looked, even when going to war. I think it's interesting that either of these could be very interchangeable. Like when you think Blood Angels, their name is Blood Angels. I mean, it would have been cool to see what would have happened if in some other storyline, alternate universe, if these were the ones that fell to chaos and the Emperor's Children, like their namesake, children of the Emperor, were the ones that stayed true to the loyalist cause. Alright, next what we're gonna do is Oh, we're going to paint the eagle, the Aquila of the chest in black. So either Abaddon black or Chaos black would do it. Now, if you have a Space Marine with the round shoulder pads, like the knee pads, I mean, not shoulder pads when I talk about the round knee pads and not these, then the right one you would paint in yellow, because you would be painting a lightning bolt on it. And if you're not sure what that looks like, then check out my old Blood Angels Fiesta videos, and you can really see it's like a yellow knee pad with a black lightning bolt. I should have thought about that when I was building this guy up, but I wasn't expecting to make him a regular trooper. Rakarth Flesh. Now we're gonna paint the Purity Seals. I remember when I first started painting Space Marines, I didn't want any Purity Seals. And how many of you thought this too? That like you just, when you very first started it, the hobby, like I had no idea, like what are these? What? Scrolls? They have little strips of paper on their arm. Like why? What's the point? I didn't get it. And now I see that, oh, it's like prayers and, you know, religious, tied to the religious themes of the game that these models have them. They're blessed by their chaplains and written with prayers and benedictions for protection and stuff. Really cool. But at the time I remember thinking like, what? Why? I have no idea why. I don't know. Alright, now, something that I do with all my Blood Angels, Purity Seals. Usually Purity Seals, the wax is red, but because the armor of a Blood Angel is red, we're going to go to purple. So we're going to start with Naggaroth Knight, which is a very deep dark purple and very similar to the old Lich purple. Oh, my brush is too wet. It's too wet. And it's funny, but you even look at the Games Workshop Blood Angels and their Purity Seals are purple as well. So I'm going to paint the Power Axe on my own. I'm not going to go over it like with the rest of the tutorial, because if you want to see how I do it, then you can just check out my How to Paint Power Weapons. I'm going to paint it the same way as my, or mirrored weapons. I'm going to paint it the same way as that, the way I paint my Eldar. Like their mirror swords and stuff. But the last thing we're going to do is we're going to give this guy a nice red wash with the awesome Carroburg Crimson, and then we'll put this video to bed and come back for part 2. Sorry, I'm trying to get the little shoulder thing here. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna let all this dry, and the last color you're gonna need is Carroburg Crimson. And stay tuned for that. I'm gonna paint the whole thing in Carroburg Crimson, all of the red parts of the armor, and then we'll come back. Alright, here we go. Our guy is ready for our Carroburg Crimson wash. So this is it, the shade. I've noticed that Carroburg Crimson settles into the pot if you don't use it for a long time, and all the pigments kind of separate, so you want to make sure that you give it a good little shake. Before you do that though, just make sure that the lid is sealed completely tight, or else it's going to spray everywhere while you're shading. I love Carberry Crimson. I think Games Workshop, somebody in Games Workshop must have been like looking at the old ball red and thinking, you know, using red to shade red, there's gotta be a better way. This Carberry Crimson has a very subtle purple, dark purple tinge to it, and I think that's what makes it so good. It really darkens the red and brings out the red shade. I know, Bobo. Okay, and you just want to make sure it doesn't pool anywhere, of course, like always. You want to just make sure you go over, and also you don't want any streaks with the red shade, so just double check that your brush is always constantly just a little bit wet with the shade or with some water. And there we go, it's the last part, the shoulder pad here. Okay, so this looks like it's going to be where we're going to leave off here for the part 1 of this How to Paint a Blood Angels Space Marine using their current color scheme, which isn't different at all, I think, than their pre-Heresy color scheme. I think if anything, their pre-Heresy color scheme was not as candy-coated red, a little bit darker with more black accents. I've seen some great examples on the Forge World website of some pre-Heresy Space Blood Angels, but yeah, that's going to be where we're going to end it for today. I think the only other thing we really need to do is take some black wash, either Badab Black or Nuln Oil, and what you're going to do is paint all the silver areas to dull them down, because right now, as they are just a little bit too bright. So we can do that while I'm doing my sign off. In part 2, what we're going to do is highlight all of the reds, bring them back up, and contrast the shaded areas as much as we can. And we're also going to highlight up the skin, the flesh of the face, try to get him look like a pretty blonde boy with some blonde hair. What I'm not going to do in between is, actually, you know what, I think I'm going to do the blonde hair and the power weapons off screen. So I'm going to do it in between just because I don't want to take up too much time doing all of that. So I'm going to try to link, if I can remember, make some annotations and kind of link to the how to paint blonde hair and how to paint a power weapon or mirrored power weapons from my Eldar tutorials, and you can follow those to give your guy blonde hair and a power weapon. But if you're just painting a regular Blood Angel Space Marine, then you won't need those. So I won't actually do those in the next tutorial, in the next step of the tutorial. But thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know what you think. Laters!